in mental health and addiction, there's a lot of discussion between mental health and substance use and the way they interlink.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
Talk to me about your first experience with psychosis.
Okay. So for the last, I'd say 4 years of my addiction, probably, it was a daily struggle for me, my psychosis. And that was, at this point, I was sleeping, like I was using opiates regularly. I was using fentanyl and heroin to not be sick.
Okay.
And then for the last couple of years of it, I also had then like the drug I loved now was cocaine, or what I thought was cocaine, right? So so with just the opiates, I started experiencing like what I thought was parasites, right? My skin crawling, and I could feel it, and I would try to pull my face off and doctor it back together, and I dug holes all over my body, digging for things that I could feel and couldn't see. I would show up at my sister's work. She's an X-ray tech at an emergency in Calgary, and I would show up there and I would beg her to X-ray me in front of her coworkers, and I would give her samples. Like it would look like a tissue in a bag, but to me it had absorbed samples for her to examine, right? Like she's some scientist.
Wow.
And I used to regularly try to tweeze the veins out of my eyes.
Wow.
Yeah.
And this is from opiates.
This is just from opiates. So, I used to just feel bugs, and then once I added cocaine or speed, to the mix, that was when I started hearing things.
Ooh,
right? So I started to hear maybe just 2 voices at the beginning, right? Voices I recognized, but when I knew I should be a little more concerned was when I was at my mom's house, and I was convinced that my place was infested with parasites because that's where I live, right? And so I would go take these baths at my mom's, and I would put I went on a naturopath about things that would fight parasitic issues. And I was bathing, and I put alfalfa tabs and liquid silver in my bath and stuff like that. And it would, give me a temporary relief, right? So I would have baths at her house because I was convinced that her place was cleaner and safer than mine. And there was one time I was upstairs running a bath, right? And my mom could hear me yelling at my sister, but she assumed I was on my phone.
Okay.
Right? Here I'm convinced that I'm talking to my sister and my brother, my one sister Kirsten and my brother Cody, through the vent in the bathroom, and that they're in the basement trying to make me look crazy by whispering to me through the vents. Okay? Because knowing that my mom would hear me responding and nobody's up there with me, and then I would look insane. And what I swear that I heard them say was that I should just go home and slit my wrists.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's my siblings. They would never say that to me, but I heard it, so I believed it, right? I told my oldest sister at that time what they'd said to me. And she said, we had a little sibling gathering. She's like, we want to know if you're hearing stuff. And I said, I think I am. I said, because first it was just a couple of voices, and then it started following me from my apartment in my car, and I was like, well, that's not possible.
Right.
I can't be overhearing the neighbors or somebody if it's following me, when I'm mobile, right? So that was kind of, and that was when everybody else knew too that I was hearing things regularly, right?
How do you seek help when this is happening?
I would go to Emerge, not just to see my sister and get x-rayed, but I would go to Emerge, and unfortunately there was quite a shortage in psychiatrists getting in with someone in Alberta at that time. It was an 8-month wait.
Wow.
And I was so tormented by what I was experiencing. I tried to quit at one point, tried to quit drugs altogether. I went 2 weeks without touching anything. The emergency had put me on Seroquel, 800 milligrams of Seroquel, right? Because every time I went back and I was like, this is worse, I can't live like this, I'm at my wit's end. They'd be like, well, what does that mean? I said, well, it means that I can't live like this, I'm going to kill myself if I have to keep going through this, right? Because it was torment all the time. It sounded like people were always behind me, gonna get me. And when I went that 2 weeks without using and just was highly medicated to the point I was basically drooling or sleeping all the time, I would still be woken from my medicated sleep from what sounded like a male voice in the room.
Wow.
Like saying my name. I would wake up and I couldn't even stand up, but I would wake up to, that's how loud it was. And when I went those 2 weeks without using, instead of things getting quieter, you know, and that being enough to get me clean or something, it actually got louder.
Man.
Right? So the 2 voices that I would hear at a time was now 20. And it was like having an entire committee of people in your head just running you down, bullying you, telling you that you should kill yourself or that you're, you know, worthless and all of this stuff.